morning all. What is the day special today? So our student, our topper, Kunika. Okay. Before telling something about Kunika, let me ask you, how many of you are confident that you are going to become a bureaucrat? No artificial, only real. It has to be. So after this session, everyone will get that confidence. Okay. So first of all, I am very happy and very delighted to invite our topper, Kunika. So who got All India 342 rank in her second attempt. So let's invite her. Kunika, please. And before that, let me felicitate and let's start. So, uh, before going to the start the session, let me tell few things about Kunika. Okay, the thing is that since beginning of our career, or many a times parents will be encouraging us that our son or our daughter should become a bureaucrat, should become a future bureaucrat. These days, there is a trend that even the student who is in 6th class, who is in 10th class, who is in intermediate, their parents are calling us, sir, our student should become the youngest bureaucrat in this country. So, one way the encouragement will be from the parents' side. And the other side, same student, so since his childhood, by going through the newspaper, by coming across various circumstances, they'll feel that I should also become a civil servant, and they start keeping little efforts. But compared to this two, there is a huge contradiction in the case of Kunika. So Kunika's father, so he wanted her to become a doctor. So after a 12th class, he is very much eagerly waiting that his daughter should become a doctor. So Kunika attempted the NEET examination. She got 556, almost 40,000 rank. Why am I telling that means? Generally, if you hear something a topper who is very extraordinary since his childhood, who is an NITN, who is an IITN, if he cracks this exam, the first thing that comes to our mind is anyway he is topper, he'll definitely get the civil services. There is nothing much different about that. But whenever an ordinary person becomes a civil servant, it is something more blushing, it is more motivating. So that's why Kunika has got 40,000 in her NEET examination. So she has to aspire a doctor, she has to, in order to become a doctor, get good college, lot of investment, something is needed. So again she went for zoology. So she went in a graduation zoology instead of medical background. But while practicing the zoology also from Delhi University, so she alternatively tried one more NEET. So let me give one more time, long time. So if I get good rank, again I can pursue my career in medical things something. Coincidentally, she got the same marks again, same 556, same 556. So she continued this graduation zoology. So that means in the first year, in the second year, in third year also, she is having no idea that I have to prepare for this civil services. So up till graduation, she has no idea. She didn't even thought that she will be going to become a bureaucrat, or she is have to prepare the examination. So this is one thing. But in 2024, from 2024 June, her full-fledged preparation started. Am I right, Kunika? 2024 June. And 2024 she could not clear the prelims. So first attempt she could not clear the prelims, and that is for her good sake only, because she is not ready with the optional. She is not even having no much confidence in the general studies subject also. First attempt completely vanished. Second attempt, the very second attempt, she got All India 342 rank with 970 marks out of total, including the interview. That is a very good achievement, Kunika. And in this journey also, interview also, essay, she got very good marks. In paper 2, generally, usually paper 2, they'll get very less marks. So she really performed well in the paper 2 also. So this is something about Kunika, and her preparation also. So she didn't spend so one best thing about Kunika is when she is preparing for this medical college or NEET examination or something. If she don't have much interest, she focused less. But whenever she want to prepare particularly, she started keeping her entire work. As I told you, in her third year, she started preparing for this exam, almost end of the third year. When her mind decided that I have to prepare for this examination, from that day onwards, she kept very, very serious efforts, and that serious efforts made her to crack this exam. That's why I always tell, it's not about anything, it's about our mind. If our mind says that yes, I have to prepare, then she started keeping proper efforts. I have been in touch with Kunika past 2024. So she has taken our prelims test series. So particularly I always emphasize on previous year questions. She solved the same previous year questions. So reading comprehension, particularly in CSAT, I segregated in subject wise. She wrote that test. And one good thing is that I always tell you, whenever you got 60 marks, 70 marks, that does not mean you will get selected in the exam. You will not get selected in the exam. She used to get average 60, 70, 75 marks in the test series which she is writing in our academy. So when someone gets a 60 or 70, definitely there will be huge demotivation. The examination conducted by institute, there only we are getting 60, 70. How can we get more marks beyond 100 marks in the real examination? But we used to discuss nothing. So we institutes particularly frame the questions in such a manner, they are very typical. So an average student will get less marks only. This is not a parameter. This is not a reference line. So the student who used to get 60, 70 marks in the mock tests, our General Institute's mock test, in our mock test, but she got more than 100 marks. So that is the beauty. Do not get demotivated. Do not get, by the marks which you are getting. And there are many things to go. Once the Kunika starts speaking, then I'll discuss other things. And the other thing is, she is a generation Gen Z student. So the thing is that when I'm interviewing her, she said that we Gen Z will be having a habit of doing something. Then I told Kunika, don't repeat this Gen Z in the original interview. They may get offended or something. That's a usual conversation. And she is a person belonging to COVID phase. So you can understand, first phase of the COVID is her graduation. No college, nothing, only social media or only virtual classes. That time there will be huge distractions. Her first year, second year is completely this COVID batch student, completely online. She didn't focus too much. So that time her mind also didn't focus that I should focus on the career. When her mind started, I should focus on the career, then she started focusing and she became a bureaucrat. So she is going to become an IRS officer. So these are the things which I would like to tell about Kunika, and I would like to give the opportunity to Kunika. So let her speak naturally. I told her very clearly, every phase, even see in her answer writing also, she used to submit the answer writings virtually. So she used to write answer and I used to evaluate personally while calling her. Particularly polity, I focused more on the paper too. So I also gave good input for the paper too also. So she is completely our student who cracked this examination in the interview, in the mains answer writing prelims, and she also kept her own efforts. So if our efforts are 5 to 10%, her efforts will be 90%. There were days where she used to awake till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Her father is telling. So she used to awake sometimes 2 o'clock, sometimes. That means she didn't skip the sleep. If she is preparing up to 2 or 3 minutes, she will be waking up at 8 or 9 something. 6 hours sleep cycle is enough. You ask any kind of question. So how much time you read, whatever the note making, whatever the current affairs, whatever the answer writing in her low phase. So she is also belonging to same age group like you. So she can answer, she can address everything. In the second attempt she got, first attempt she didn't even crack the prelims. The second attempt she is going to become an IRS officer. Okay, over to you.
Hello. So this is my first talk, so I'm a bit I will talk basically about my journey. So first of all, like whenever I was an aspirant, like 2 years back, and I used to watch these topper stocks, I used to feel these people are lying, that they've not done what they've said they've done. They're definitely doing so much more. They're not telling us. But honestly, like after 2 years that I'm here now, I feel like I just did exactly like the minimal that I was supposed to do. Not the minimal, I mean, I gave my 100%. Now, everybody has a different 100%. Some can study for like 15 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours, superhuman people. And some can study for like 6, 7 hours also. Like, that is our normal. I've studied for that only, like 5, 6 hours every day for the last 1.5 years, and I've done that consistently, so that has compounded, I believe. So basically where my journey started, as sir has already told, it started late somewhere in the college. Now initially in my 12th and my 11th, a lot of people have that dream that in our school's times only we decide that we will become civil servants, and we start to do everything that is required for that. We take humanities as subjects after 10th, then we study that, but I did not do that. However, I would like to mention that I was a bit curious about everything. So it was not like I was, completely not aware of what was happening. Like I'd see sometimes the news, the international affairs. I'll see that, and also like sometimes I was interested in geography and all these things. So like I live in Rajasthan in Alwar. So right outside my house there are Aravalli mountains. Like I can see them. So whenever my siblings would come, I would say that these are the oldest fold mountains and all these kind of things. So it's like basically internalizing the knowledges that we gather in UPSC, like that I had from the very beginning as well. So I did that neat thing, as sir has already told. So I will not go much into that. So I did NEET 11th, 12th, and then after that I took a drop year as well. So even though I scored like good decent amount in biology and all these, I got 99 out of 100 in biology in 12th basically. So my father was like, you should become a doctor. Why to waste such good potential in science, and you should pursue that. But something in me was just not aligning. I was not feeling like this is my path. But eventually when a 17-year-old is asked like what do you want to do with your life, and you don't have an answer, you just go with what your parents are telling you to go with. So I was like, it's fine, I'll do NEET. So I dropped 1 year, and even though I did my best, I could not get government medical college, and private medical colleges are very expensive. You guys must be aware as well. Like they go somewhere up to 2 crores, 1.5 crores, which was not feasible for me. I felt like if for something that I'm not very sure about, that I want to do that, why to spend so much money? I should just spend some time. If I do a medical, I'll do it with my own potential. So I told my father that I'll do it again. Wait, I'll attempt NEET again. So I did that as well. But somehow that too didn't work out, and I went to college, Hansraj College, Delhi University. It was my backup mostly, but it became my first plan because I could not clear my first plan. So now what happened was in DU, I was pursuing my zoology, and somehow, somewhere studying the subject, I actually absolutely fell out of love with biology. I don't know why. It was just too much. Like I was studying it so much. My classes used to be 8:40 to 5, and I was just not interested. So even though I decided, okay, I have to do biotech for my masters, because what else should I do? I was exploring other options as well. Now, in this pursuit of biotech as my masters, I did give some masters exams as well, like IIT JAM we have, GATE we have, GATB we have, and I scored. I was AIR 17 GATB as well. So I had that path set for me that I could go for masters, then I could do my PhD, and then I could get a job there. But I felt somewhere that that was not for me, and I decided to drop it. I did not decide to go for masters at all. So that was a risk that I took at that time. Obviously, in hindsight, I do kind of regret it. Now that I have got a positive result, I do not regret it. But like 2 weeks before, I did regret it. I was feeling that I should have had a plan B, because UPSC, as I'll talk about why I needed a plan B. Anyways, so that was my decision. I was very brave, because I think all of us, when we are getting into the UPSC preparation, we feel that we will crack it in the first attempt, that we will be different from everyone else. We will just crack it. We will crack prelims, we will crack mains, and then we will get AIR 1 or 2. That is everyone. I think that's the mindset before getting into this examination. How I got into this examination was, there's this funny story actually. I went to India Gate with my friend to see like India Gate, and there this direction board was there, and on that it was written UPSC. And now my friend was like, "This is some sort of an exam, right?" That friend lives in Mumbai. She's basically pursuing acting, so she has absolutely no idea about all this. So I was like, I don't know. Perhaps it's like I didn't even know the full form of UPSC, and lo and behold, 5 months down the line, I'll be preparing for this exam. I did not even know at that time. So I went. I was living in Kamla Nagar, and there alongside that area there is Mukherjee Nagar and all that. So people do pursue UPSC there. So I felt like, okay, this is an exam that I can do because I want to do a government job. That was my only concern in my life, that I want to do a government job. It was not like I want to do UPSC only and that I want to become IAS officer. I did not even know what IAS officer is. I did not even know what work do they do. Like, I think a lot of us still don't know what a work IAS officer actually does. So that was my thing, that I want a government job. And if I'm aiming for a government job, I should aim for the best one out that is out there. So UPSC, I felt like I'll do it. It's okay. So the thing is, before getting into UPSC, one would research about the exam. One would see like what the syllabus is, what kind of subjects there are, what is the time that we have to study for, like everything. But I did not research anything. I had these friends that were preparing, one two friends, and I had this teacher initial days. His name was Siddharth sir. So he was there, and what he did was he guided me a bit in the beginning. So because of that guidance, I did not go to any like a very established coaching institute. I instead relied on many teachers like Rohit sir also, because I believe that guidance, that when we are taking guidance from our seniors, when alumni and all these people that have had close encounters with UPSCs and that have failed also, it's much better than going to very well established institutes, because there you're just a part of a crowd. There are 300 people in the classroom and nobody really pays much attention on you. You're just a part of a herd there. So I did not want to become that, because I knew that going into this preparation, I do have a disadvantage, that I'm starting late, that I have not had a background of all this. So I wanted to keep it as local as I could, or as homely as I could, the preparation. So I started with subjects. Now the first subject that I ever did in my UPSC preparation was world history. Now, world history, we all know, has a very low weightage. It's barely one question comes. Like this year also in mains, only one question came, and that too on French Revolution, which I think everybody knows. Like, we don't have to study world history for that. And for that world history, I studied 3 months, and I studied extensively. Like, I don't know, like I was going to top in world history or not. I don't know. I've never studied after that, and I've not even revised it because I was so bored of world history. I did not do it. So that is the thing I'll talk about. Like, in my preparation, I was not aware most of the times about the things that I was doing. I was just doing it. Like, if world history has to be done, okay, I'll do world history. If polity has to be done, okay, what is the book that I need to get for it? Okay, everybody is saying Lakshmikant. I will not double guess it. I will not doubt it. I will just go and I will buy it and I will study it once at least. Then I will see the questions of it, and then I will see, okay, this has come. Then I will solve those questions, and then I will move on to the next subject. So basically, one point from this instance that I would like to encourage for all you to do as well is, do not overthink your resources. Like, if you have some resource for one subject, just rely on it. Do not feel like everybody is doing 100 resources, so I also need to go after 100 resources. No, everybody has done only one resources. Every topper that you'll see, they come and they say that they've done very minimal also, but they still succeed, and it's because having faith matters. And I've met a lot of people, like in these toppers talk I've been going, and a lot of people have come up to me and they've said, like, in the past prelims I did not score a lot. I scored only like 50, like in my prelims. So I'm deciding that I will not give this year's attempt, because I need to work a lot more on my foundation. Now the thing is that if we feel like having a fear of attempting the exam, having a fear of failing, that will prevent us from actually putting in the work, that will prevent us from actually doing the things that are required to be done. And if you won't think, if you will not overthink, and you will just do, like, I have 4 tasks for the day, I will study one chapter of Lakshmikant, I will study, like if you are like me and you like to study only one subject a day, then you can do that. Or if you like to study two subjects a day, then you can combine those subjects and then you can do those subjects a day and you can call it a day. That is okay, I did my best, and then you can do other things as well. Because one thing is that I did not just study in my UPSC preparation, and I think that helped me in hindsight. I'll tell you why. Like when we think, right, that oh, after UPSC, after I crack UPSC, I will go for a trip. After UPSC, I will crack. Only then I will go out with my friends to have a lunch. Only then I will do this. Only then I will celebrate Diwali, Holi with my family. I'll tell you, I have not missed one holiday, like one festival in the past 2 years. I've attended all of them, and I have a joint family, and I've lived in a joint family, and I've prepared from home. So you can see that it's not like I locked myself in a room. So basically, this helped me because, like in the morning, I would wake up like at 9, 10, and I'm not very productive at morning. So what I do is I go downstairs and I study the newspaper. I liked reading newspaper. So for current affairs, I relied heavily on newspapers, and it was not like I was making notes of newspaper as well. It was not like I was just writing everything, or that this day this came, this came. No, like for objective stuff, I was writing like a new species got discovered or a new place was in news. So something like these, I was writing in my small diary I made. I was writing that, but heavily extensive notes I was not making out of newspaper. I was just making myself aware of what was happening, so that I can have a kind of that perspective. Or that, like, if somebody, sometimes what happens is a question comes in paper and we think, oh, we've read that somewhere. So that helps. So for newspaper, I used to do that. 2 hours I used to study newspaper. Then I used to have lunch. Then I used to have a nap, because I like having naps, and I cannot survive without them. So then after 4 p.m. I used to sit for studying. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., 6:37, I'll study one session. Then I'll go out for a walk. And if my friends were in town, because I'm 24 and my friends all were doing jobs, they were in corporate. So whenever they visit, I'd go and visit them. And like I would like to have a little bit of social life. So I think that this did not put a lot of pressure on my preparation. Like this did not exclude me a lot from the outside world. This does not put a lot of pressure per se, that like I have to crack UPSC, because then only I will be allowed to have a life. So I think that is also important. Like it can be little things. Like if somebody likes to do something, like if you have a hobby, like if you like reading a book, if you like cooking also, don't put too much pressure that I have missed 2 hours of my day, and that I've not been able to study today at all. I will not make this exam. Because what happens is, if we talk like this now, if we have this negative self-talk, then we're not able to study for the 4 next day as well. Like we will never not be able to study. That I was not able to study yesterday. Then I was not able to study 2 days before. Then we're not actually studying even that day. So that happens, and we are stuck in this loop, and we're not able to get out. And then what happens is, one more flaw of UPSC preparation, like people and students, even I had that, was that if we look outside for validation, some sort of validation, if we're like that I've not studied, or I have to study this, and we will ask 10 people about it. Like, oh, I have to do polity, this PYQ came, where should I do it from? Like I'll ask you, everyone I'll ask, and then after 10 people also I'll be clueless, because then 10 people said 10 different resources, and you will be clueless because you did not research for yourself and you did not analyze it for yourself. So I think that is also important. So in my UPSC preparation, because I was so excluded from everyone, I had no friends who was from UPSC circle, I was not talking about UPSC with anybody. I was just doing subjects every day, like a school test or something. Like I was having that, okay, I have an exam and I will study it. So one by one, I took on each subject, and I made some short notes for like prelims. And in my first attempt, I barely knew some things about main. I did not know much about mains, because as I've told you, I did not research much about the paper. So one answer I think I wrote before 2024 prelims, and no essay I wrote ever. Optional also I did like 30%. I just decided that I will do anthropology, and 4 or 5 lectures I watched. Like anthropology, as you must be aware, like has 4 parts, right? I did tribal anthropology, that was it. And I wrote the 2024 prelims, and I did not qualify. Now obviously I was sad. Who's not sad? But then I did not qualify the CSAT part. Okay, now if I didn't qualify the CSAT, I was sad, but then the sadness settled in, and I actually analyzed like, okay, so even if I had qualified the prelims, I would not have qualified the mains because I did not prepare for it at all. So blessing in disguise, like hindsight, it was a blessing, because then I could focus on mains. Then I was like, it's okay, I will not cry. I will prepare for my mains examination. Now, for mains examination, what I did was, a lot of coaching institute materials is present out there, and trust me, you need to just pick one. Like if sir's coaching material is present, just rely on it and make notes. Like how will you make notes? Like for GS1 we have different subjects, right? Yes. So for GS1 we have different subjects. Like we have society, like for example. So society, a lot of things are happening around us also. Like and also in newspaper some stuffs comes. Like 2 days ago there was this term in newspaper. I could be wrong. I studied it very like I viewed it once. It was Wallstein principle, something like that. Something basically which said, what's the translation of that was that women have to often feel bad for working as well. Like even we are doing the housework and then we are working, and when we are working we have to feel sad that we are not doing the housework or that we are not perfect in it. So this also has a name for it. So this was in the newspaper. So this becomes your keyword. So something, scout for keywords, like something that other people might not be writing in this paper, like something which will make you different. Like what can you offer different? Like some example do you have from your own city, like some woman that you have from your own city, example, some collector that you have that is very local, which is very not famous at all. Like all these examples which are non-conventional, which people in the UPSC space are not writing, like Tina Darby and all these examples are very much written, and they're written like everybody is writing them. So the examiner, when they're looking at your paper, they'll feel like, oh, this person is also the same, just like them, and you'll also get the same marks, and there is no edge. So in mains, you have to get that edge. So you have to work very creatively in your examination. You all come from a different background. You all have some sort of knack, some sort of individuality in you. Try to make sure that your mains papers show that. Like nothing is wrong, nothing is right. If you have something, like I sometimes did poetry in my 12th class, right? So in my essay paper I wrote poetry, like in the beginning and in the end. Like there was this essay that came this year, something regarding the journey, like journey, life is it's just not about the journey, even the life is beautiful. The journey is beautiful, just not the destination, or something like that. Just do not focus on destination, journey is also important. So in this I wrote the corollary. We have that rain, we're taught, we've been taught in the fairy tales that there is this rainbow, and at the end there is a golden pot of gold, right? And then all these characters, they chase that pot of gold, but we forget that even that rainbow is beautiful, that journey is also beautiful. It's just not about the destination. So I wrote that, and that is a different example. Now one topper, last year toppers, I guess, she gave this example of, like if a fly falls in milk, we throw away the milk. But if the fly falls in ghee, which is expensive, we take the ghee and we throw away the fly, right? So all these examples can be used in different ways in essay, ethics. Like for GS1, GS2, you can have very local examples that are very different. So when you are preparing for your pre, like right now your main focus must be pre, but like when you're preparing for your mains examination, and if you qualify prelims, your main focus should be like 6 hours you should do what everybody else is doing, because our main competition is not the other competitors. It's not about being perfect. Nobody is perfect in UPSC. Nobody has done everything. It's just that we have to do what others have done and also something extra. So that should be our goal. That's it. And when you will keep doing that, you will not even realize you'll clear the exam, just like me. Okay, I had no idea that I will clear this exam, but I did, and I did this small things only. So GS1 I did that. Now there is also this one topper, Ayan Jain sir. So he has these micro notes, like he has the keywords for every GS that he has used for mains. So you can refer to that as well, and you can make a list of your own keywords. And like in mains questions, you can just write all these keywords, because in 7 minutes you do not get a time to write a very big in-depth question. And this is also a myth that every question everybody knows, like who's qualifying mains. It's absolutely not true. In 20 questions you will know like 7-8 questions by heart. 1-2 questions you will only have 1 point for, and then other questions you might not have even any idea about. Like that is the reality. Like for example, this year a question came which was on African Indian digital diplomacy, okay, in international relation. Now we don't study that. We don't study African and Indian digital diplomacy. Specifically, we don't study digital part. So only I had 2 points for that. One is education and one is medical. We do Sanjeevani and that telemanus or something like that. We do these only two things, which is e-vidya, I guess, e-vidya and one more. I could be wrong, but that is what I remember. So only 2 points I had, and I had to write 15 marks questions. So obviously I blabbered. I wrote stuff here and there. I also wrote tigers, which was not asked, but we have to do something, right? So this happens in mains. So do not have that fear that I do not know everything. So how will I write mains, or how will I succeed in mains? It's just not that practical. Obviously things will come that you won't be aware of, and you have to take that as you go throughout the paper as you've been attempting. And yes, as I've said, your goal should be to be better than the other people, and you can rely on any coaching material for that. So GS1 other things are as well, and PYQs are very important for mains. Now I'm telling you all this, but I did not do this so much in my first mains preparation. I did this after qualifying pre 2025. So I'm telling you this, but do not feel like you have to be only mains ready 100%, then only you can write pre and that. You can be 50% ready for mains, and then you can qualify prelims, and then you can work on all these things in the 2-3 months, because 2-3 months is less, yes, but also if you only focus on the right things and do the right thing, then that will be sufficient. So I think 2-3 months are very less for figuring out it from the scratch. Like what do I have to do, what are paper 1, what is GS2, what is GS3, what is all this research you should have done before prelims, and also have a brief idea about all the subjects like society, governance, disaster management, GS3 subjects, ethics. You should have notes, at least you should have notes, and optional you should have at least watched your lectures and you should have the notes. Then prelims, there is a different approach. Obviously you all are working on prelims. I'll focus more on mains. You can ask me questions, then I can answer. I'll not waste a lot of time. So for prelims, basically we have the core subjects. Now core subjects are important 100%. We have economics, we have polity, and we have geography, I'd say. All these three are the core subjects. Now for economics, I would say the best source for this is the economic survey, because a lot of questions, and I think the whole economics session paper, like the pre, the mains, everything comes from economic survey and the budget. Like it's so centered. You can just go through the economic survey once. Like you can just go through the headings. You can just go through the pattern that is in economic survey and the kind of trend that it is showing. So when in the options some trend comes, like inflation is this, interest rate is this, then you can have an idea. Oh, economic survey was also talking about that, because as per our syllabus, economic survey is also divided into chapters and they correlate with our syllabus. So I think that is the very best resource to actually figure out what kind of questions will be asked this year, because it talks very nicely about that. So economics, the standard book that I use was Vivek Singh sir's. Not a lot of people use it, but I use the Vivek Singh sir's book for banking, and also it has all that stuff. Then Vivek Singh sir's books I used, and then which can be easily found on Amazon. But I would not suggest for you to buy a new book like 2 months before prelims. Whatever source that you are using is right source. Just cover your static part, and current affairs you can either read the newspaper or do the magazine, monthly magazine, current affair magazine, whichever magazine you would like, because every magazine has the same content. So the magazine that you can top, and just remember, it's not that 50% static, 50% current affair weightage is there. 80% static and 20% current affairs. It's like you have to focus more on static, because only 40 questions you will be very wholeheartedly sure about in prelims. Others you will be solving by your aptitude, and for that 40% you need to have your static very, very nicely done. Like, so economics, you can use that Vivek Singh sir's book or whatever book that you're using. Then for geography, what I did was, beside the NCRTs are the gold standard for geography, because I don't think any question comes outside of NCRT. Like 11th, 12th NCRTs, they can be mapped, like for the kind of questions that are coming, MCQs. So you can map the MCQs that are coming. So do that. And also the diagrams you should do, because sometimes the diagrams help you solve the questions as well. Diagrams you should do, then that you should do. And also on geography, a lot of foreign universities makes these animated videos, like about climatology is very important, oceanography is very important, like all these animated videos. Like we study El Nino, La Nino, so sometimes we can forget, like what was El Nino, what was La Nino. But there are animated videos that are very readily available on YouTube. Like you can just see them, you can just have a picture view of all these phenomena that we're just talking about and we're just writing. So it helps in geography and environment and ecology to have that kind of a picturestic understanding, because sometimes an option will be coming and you will not, because in that stress and in that pressure of prelims now we forget, like okay, what was that, was the pressure increasing, was the pressure decreasing. So just do not have a rote learning per se, just do not cram up the geographical factual questions, have a picturestic understanding of it as well. So that would help you. And NCRT you can trust with the coaching material that you are relying on, but NCRTs you should not miss, and the PYQs you should completely do. Okay, of the geography, environment and ecology. One unconventional resource that I used was the Netflix documentary Our Planet. So basically in Our Planet na, they talk about all different kind of biospheres, different kind of biodiversity. So you can have a view once. So sometimes when these questions come, animal behavior, ecology comes, when you are not really aware of the animal, so you can figure out like, okay, that animal resembles that kind of animal that lives in that kind of area, it must be feeding on something like that. Because sometimes very random animals comes, and also like very random animals sometimes have been asked in very early on PYQs, like 1900 PYQs you should also do. Like do all these 1900s, early 2000 PYQs of environment and ecology and geography, because here they are asking questions from the options. Like you have the 4 options, they've given one right answer there, but all the other 3 options now are coming as questions. So you should do that as well. Do not leave any PYQs. Do as many PYQs as you can. Like you should at least have done like 6 iterations of PYQs before you appear for prelims. Because what happens is that you will not be aware of 60 questions as I've told you. So you need aptitude for that. And for aptitude, you need to catch what UPSC is the right answer. You will feel that this is the right answer, but it will not be the right answer. UPSC thinks that this will be the right answer and they will only mark it as the right answer. And that will be developed by seeing all these PYQs. So data, as you've seen, is never right. Like you can never feel like, I don't know, I can say 99% data is always wrong. And if there is around and up to, then the data becomes right. Because obviously you are writing prelims in May, the answer key will come 1 year later. What if the data changes? They cannot guarantee you, na? So all these things then you will develop through aptitude. So even in the organizations, they've asked a lot of questions about organization, and we feel like, oh, how will we cover so many organizations? But you just need to have a look, like what kind of answer they are correcting in those organization questions, and you'll see that always these organizations are also wrong. And if there are 2 organizations, one is right, one is wrong. So once you have that aptitude and once you've analyzed PYQs, you'll realize, okay, in this option, these are my options that the gut feeling that you say, right, that will come by analyzing the PYQs, that you need to do very readily for all these subjects. Okay, then for history, modern India, spectrum, I did, but I really am not at all good in history. I hate history. Even I am worse than you all in history. I do not remember one fact of history. I'll be very honest. So I just did one time. I did modern history spectrum. I read. I have never read it cover to cover. I've never been able to. Then one time I read that Bipin Chandra sir's book. That is a nice book. Obviously, the vocabulary is very hard, but for mains, if you're very good in history, and if you want to have those quotes and introduction and conclusions for history, you should use the Bipin Chandra sir's book, because it's very, the kind of introductions and conclusions that you can get from that book and the kind of language that he has used, that will definitely reward you in your mains examination. So for modern history, you can use that. Then for ancient India, I used the old NCRTs, not the new ones, the old NCRTs. And for ancient India also, the UPSC has few favorite areas that it asks questions from. The Indus Valley civilization, the Harappan, it's favorite. Last year it was completing, I think this year, last year it was completing 100 years, I think. So that was certain that the question will come. Now also this is another trick. Like if something is completing 100 years, 150 years, 75 years, if somebody has died, somebody very renowned has died, if somebody very renowned has completed some 100 years, they will ask a question on that. Like that is must. Like last year there was this history question, Jyoti Rao Phule sir, there was a question because it was something 100 years has been completed, something like that. It was a milestone. Indus Valley civilization 100 years, a question was on that. Now a year before that, Birsa Munda sir's question was there. He had completed 75 years, something like that. So every year when there is something like this, very monumental, and something the newspaper also mentions this, so you should prepare on that for mains and for prelims, because they will ask you. In prelims there was question Jyoti Rao Phule, both I think in prelims also and mains also. Now I think modern history I've covered, old NCRTs I did. Buddhism and Jainism, very very important. Do it like very extensively, like all the PYQs, and analyze all the PYQs, and also do it from other resources. Do it extra also if you are good in history, and if you feel like the question will come, I will solve it 100%. So you can do that. And then medieval, I used NCRT, but I didn't think a lot of questions come from NCRT. Lucent is one book that is available in market. I think you should do it for history 100%, because it's very factual. A lot of facts are written in that, and these facts are coming also in exam. So because the prelims nature is changing to a lot of fact based questions, so Lucent you should have one or two reads, like all the ancient, medieval and modern as well. So that will help you. That I did very well. And also animated videos also I did for all these, like ancient history. There are a lot of dynasties, Haryanka dynasty, and the Pallavas and all these. So there are a lot of animation videos. For the children they make the story line, the timelines. So I watch those videos. So kind of have an understanding more beyond the books. Like if something comes and I'm not able to recall at that moment, I will use the video knowledge. So that I did for these subjects. And what else subjects? Science and technology. Science and technology, current affairs is the only way to predict science and technology. Have your basics clear, you can have them. Also focus more on the emerging technologies, like EV is coming, semiconductor is coming, solar is coming. So all these become very important because they will ask questions on that. In mains also they asked a question on semiconductors, because these are the things that we are talking about, even AI. So have the basic understanding of all these technologies very clear, because they will ask. And then having some aptitude in prelims, like the new technology will always be better than the older technology. That is a must. So if they are writing an option and they are saying that the new technology is not good, like it's taking more time, or it's very complex or something like that, then that option can be wrong, because we know that the new technology, they will always kind of, like 99% you can analyze this in PYQs as well, that they will write it as the right thing, right? So in prelims you need to have that kind of an aptitude, and you will develop that once you do PYQs and categorize the PYQs. Okay, organization based, data based, year based, then you can see a pattern as well. Like in CSAT also, I think the first CSAT that I did not qualify was because I did not do PYQs. Now PYQs help you analyze, first of all, what is becoming important. Number system, I think, is becoming the favorite. Around 10-15 questions were last year asked on number system, and they were not very easy also, but they're very trick based. Like, if you know, then only you can solve them. In examination you cannot just sit and solve these questions. So do number system very nicely, like from the coaching institute, solve as many questions as you can on number system. Then reading comprehension also, UPSC has the kind of answers that it gives, and for them it is the right option. For example, if something is positive, if some option is saying something positive, and if it's very broad, like it's covering almost all the other options as well, then that will be the right option. Like you will have to see that, because in sometimes they give like hard reading comprehensions, but reading comprehension is an easy way to crack CSAT, because less time is taken, and then you can also score it. Then other subjects that are there, international relations. International relation you can do from coaching material, the current affairs, and also have a daily these news videos that come, right, like top 100 news of the world, or even the daily analysis of the news, the 15-20 minutes videos that come every day. You can watch them because, as I said, everything can be asked in this paper. We cannot study everything. So having a bit of understanding of what is happening around the world, because sometimes something will come, some word will come in the paper in different contexts, but you will be able to relate it. Like, they do not ask very straightforward questions from current affairs. They will not ask like what did US Iran war lead to or something like that. They will ask about a mountain that is present in Iran. That is the kind of questions that UPSC asks. What are the kind of rivers that are flowing into Iran? Like all these questions, they ask these kind of questions. So, but when you will be reading this and you will have a kind of a news analysis, you will have that in your mind. Okay, this is happening, this is happening, and also like after prelims, when the time is there, 10-15 days till the result come, focus on your mains preparation. Do not leave it. I left it. If I did not have left it and I focused mostly on my anthropology optional, I would have scored even more. Like, I would have gotten a good rank even. So I think that is also there. Any other core subject I missed for prelims? I think, okay. So this was all the resources that I did, and also to have very short notes for prelims that you can revise 4 or 5 times. And I also have my notes, if sir could display. Like, I made polity notes for executive and legislative, and you can see like these are so short. Okay, sir. Like, you can see like parliament, what is there, then eligibility, external electoral college, what is there. So even a question on this comes sometimes. So have this everything MCQs you should have, because for MCQ what will happen is you do not need to know everything, but what you know, you must be very sure in it, because in that small amount of time that you have to mark your answer, and you have to be very sure like what you are writing, what you are marking is correct. You need to have that confidence, and for confidence you need to have revised everything at least 2-3 times. So do not study 100% of the syllabus, study 60%, but do it so better that you do not mark a wrong question out of it. So like having everything like small, all these I wrote everything very small, in small sense. Like even for disqualifications I've written all these points. So all of this parliament, this paper, the parliament chapter is so big, but you can summarize it in 2 pages if you want, with all the data, with everything. And just before prelims examination, 2 weeks, you do not have to pick up the Lakshmikant again and write all those notes again. You can just simply, see all these short notes and get, like, for example, the quorum, what is quorum, or what is that. Also, this kind of question comes like, what kind of bills lapse, right? That is also favorite of UPSC. So have that kind of, like, in a small table you can just have that. And also active recall you can use for revision. Like, you have made these short notes, then you've read them 2-3 times, then you just write, keep them aside, and you take another paper and you try to write all these short notes again. Now what will happen is, it will not take a lot of time, 2 pages notes, it will not take a lot of time, but it will help you have an active recall of all the important facts that are to be actually remembered. Now, prelims is a factual paper. You need to have your facts very right, and you also need to have memorized them very properly. So that is one approach that I did. I had these kind of notes for every subject. For geography also, I have 53 pages I have for all the geography. Like, for even like mapping and everything. I've done mapping, I have made all these rivers and everything. So all these mapping questions, I have 20-30 pages, and before prelims I've done them only. I've not done anything beside that and the NCRTs, because at the end the question is going to come from the NCRTs, and the mapping is very important. Okay, and mapping made me remember, like in news, if something is coming, like if a national park has been added, if a Ramsar site has been added, that becomes important. And also read a bit about that national park on the internet, on the Wikipedia, on the go. Like if a river is passing through that, or what kind of species, because that kind of question can also come, and they will ask you that. Now prelims, that is all that you can do in prelims. If you qualify, well and good, and if you don't, then don't feel disheartened. Okay, don't feel like I have not made prelims. How will I qualify mains? How will I make it to the interview? And how will I actually crack this exam if I cannot even crack the first step? The thing is that the first step is the hardest step, no denial in that. almost 8 lakh people are writing the first step, and only 13,000 will get the second stage. Okay, now that should scare you, but not scare you to the point that you are frozen and that you are not able to do anything. I mean, take it as a kind of a luck based system. Like, this is my lottery. If I get into prelims once, I will make sure that I will clear the whole stage at once. Like, make sure that. And it's not like you have to have everything figured out. When the stage will come, you will figure it out eventually. Trust me, I did that same. Like, when I didn't qualify the prelims last year, I was just going with the flow. Everybody was saying that you need to have your mains at least ready. Then I was doing mains. I had done 50% of mains. I did not remember anything. I actually did not remember everything. Like, it's not like if you would say that disaster management, tell me the definition of disaster, and I'd be, oh, this is the definition. I did not have that. I just had the notes, and I just knew where to study it from. Then, because I had the phobia of prelims, I started to study for prelims in the December of 2024 and like January 2025 itself. Then India-Pakistan war also happened, like a small war. So I was distracted in that as well. Like, for 1 week, I couldn't study at all, and my family members were like, you need to study, your prelims is coming. Then I was mainly focusing on PYQs. I think one thing this helped me was I did not go more to the mocks, like, because I was not scoring much in mocks, as sir has mentioned. I was scoring 60, 70. Now, sometimes people, what they do is they score very less, and they feel like, if I'm not able to score in mocks only, how will I able be to score in the prelims? So I should not just give this attempt, like, I should skip it. But I was like, I was not focused on that. I did not focus on the outside voices. I was like, okay, I've studied it, I know that I've studied it, and I will give my best. And also, skipping exam tendency is not there in my house. My father always says, you should just give the paper. It's okay if you don't qualify, you should just sit for it. So I think that also helped me. I never felt like I will skip this attempt. Okay, so even I could have felt like I'm not prepared for mains, I've not done my optional at least to my full potential, I should not give this attempt, I should give, but I gave it anyways. So in prelims, having that mentality that, okay, even if I score very less in marks in mocks are just to analyze what you have studied. Like, if you are doing a question wrong that you have studied and that you were confident in, still you got it wrong, then your only focus should be on that one question. Despite having the fact that you have not solved any other question and you did not know anything in the paper, but one question you knew and one question you got wrong, your focus should be, why did I get it wrong? And you should just have you should focus that next time it will come, I will not make it wrong. That should be your only focus. If you're doing 20 questions in your mock, make sure that all the 20 questions that you are doing as per your knowledge, and you are trying to get them right accurately as much as you can. Like, get that accuracy. Do not get that kind of range, like, I will solve 60 questions in mocks, 70 questions in mocks. No, you can solve 20 questions also, but solve them nicely, like with knowledge. Obviously, you have to solve more questions, because then you have to qualify the cutoff also. Practice that aptitude also. It's just not having the knowledge, you know 20 questions, you'll have the idea about, but rest questions that you need to solve with your aptitude, and that aptitude also needs to be practiced. It's not like in the prelims you will go and you will just apply your aptitude, then obviously you will not qualify. You have to have that kind of knack. Okay, these are the questions that I was getting right in my aptitude, and this you will develop by solving PYQs at least 6 times. As I mentioned, you should have solved PYQs before appearing for the real exam. Now, for the cutoffs, it's going very high, prelims 92. So you cannot solve just 40 questions and 50 questions and call it a day there in the prelims. Then you will definitely not qualify it. Have a kind of a understanding how many attempts of the questions that you need to do actually to qualify the exam. For example, if you think that you will get above 100 score by solving 85 questions, then do 85 questions. For example, I solved 95 questions in my prelims. So I knew that I had to solve many questions as I can, because that is important. So I also qualified for the mains, forest mains examination. So I scored pretty good, I guess, in prelims. The scores are yet not out. Still, I would like to believe that. Anyways, so these are all the tricks and tips that you need to have for your prelims, and have as less notes as you can for your whole journey. Like, my UPSC notes are just one shelf, and I'm not even lying, my friends came and they said, oh, this exam is so big, everybody says everybody has so many notes, but I did not have a lot of notes for that. So that is there for prelims. And as I was saying, if you do not qualify for prelims, do not feel disheartened at all. Feel like, okay, now I will work even harder on my mains and try to get that 830, 840 score in mains. Then, because interview stage, I'll come on that, is very unpredictable and it's very unfair also. It's nothing that you can do in interview that will, I mean, you can have that sort of luck and confidence that you can perform good, but honestly, it's like you are entering a chamber. They have their own mind of what kind of people they like, what kind of students they like, and they will score you accordingly as per their own taste. So you can't be like, I'll change their mind, I'll be the one who'll change them, I'll make them give me 200. I don't think that's practical. So that interview stage is very luck based. So in mains you have to have that kind of understanding of every subject, and I think uniqueness and creativity you can use as local examples as you can. Refer to your newspapers for these, like all these syllabus that you have, like internal security you have every day, because this 2026 was our end Naxalism year as well. So a lot of news was coming on Naxalism. So you can write those news, you can write the case study, like all these Naxals, they have been, arrested and they have been relocated as well. Like there was this case study of one that was relocated to use fishing as a livelihood. Like they were fishing, they were having a good life. So I had that case study, like if something will come, I will write that. So have as many local as you can and as different, like which is not readily available in a lot of big coaching institute, because 13,000 people are writing mains, everybody will have that same example. So you can use that kind of uniqueness and creativity in your examination, that will help you in your mains examination. Now that is there. Also learn one thing in UPSC, internalize your own failure and understand why you failed. Okay, do not listen to 100 people. 100 people will say 100 things. Just think, okay, I was supposed to do this and I could not do that. That is my own fault. It's not that you did not study 10 other books. Do not listen to the market, as people are calling it, or do not listen to 100 other people. Just rely on one topper, whosoever you like. Topper notes you can use. I've used many toppers note. Even for mains copies, you can just in your free time, when you're having dinner, when you're having lunch, you can just go through the mains toppers copies, like what kind of examples they are writing. For example, this topper Shruti Sharma ma'am, like her copies are fantastic. She has very great notes, very great value addition. You can do that value addition. Like sometimes people ask, where should we do value addition from? Like these toppers copies, some different coaching material, like sirs is not that big, like Vision IAS or something. So here you'll examples that you'll find will be a bit unique. So you can use that also. Like all these examples that a lot of people are not using, I think that will help you a lot in your mains examination. And you should have a habit, you should keep a diary and write all these case studies, write all these examples, all these women. The websites, Better India website that I used, I also use this Eco India YouTube channel. They have amazing documentaries. Like these kind of questions come in GS2 for like NGO, government, and the local bodies, like all the participation. So Eco India does a lot of documentaries which have this kind of example. For example, there was this case study wherein the IMF, the Indian Meteorological Department, no, IMD, sorry, Indian Meteorological Department, they were coordinating with the local street vendors in telling them what will be the kind of temperature today, like heat waves. So for heat waves, and for them, for this coordination, they were using the Greenpeace NGO, right? So NGO you have, local people you have, government you have. Now this example you can write in so many places. Disaster management you can use. Heat wave question comes, you can write on this. Then on coordination you can write. Then third, you can write on making the governance more local. On this also you can write. So one example can be used in so many different places. So it's not like you have to write 100 examples, 20 case studies, 15 examples. Try to use them as many places as you can. Okay? So that is the approach for that. And as I've said, in the time between not qualifying prelims and the mains, make sure the optional is the kingmaker. Try to aim 300 for an optional. If you get that, you would definitely in our top 100 and you'll get IS. I think that is, I think everybody's main objective to get IAS. So having that optional, that work on optional, so do that work. Like instead of working too much on GS and forgetting optional, you should always work on your optional. Give at least 2-3 hours, and for optional, write 15 years, 10 years PYQs in question answers format. Like do just that. Do not do very extraordinarily. The PYQ repeat rate is very high in optionals, all of the optionals, even though they're becoming more intertwined, like a lot of things are coming from here and there, so that you can apply your knowledge and have an understanding that will help you. But optional is the kingmaker. Then ethics is very important. A lot of people are clueless about ethics, like what to do about ethics. I think having a understanding, same, first analyze PYQs, second think about what kind of questions are being asked in PYQs. For example, if an environment kind of ethics question is coming, have a list of 15 or 20 keywords that you will use in any question that comes on environment. For example, there is this keyword tragedy of commons. Okay, there is this quote that you can use, Gandhiji's quote, very famous quote. I do not remember it. Yeah, but not for everyone's greed. So that quote and 4 more quotes that you can write. Sanskrit mantras you can use. Mythology is heavily rewarded in ethics paper. So if you are very much into mythology, Ramayana, and all these small stories we've all read and listened to while growing up, so have that written, like Hanumanji stories or Ramayana stories or Mahabharat stories. Like there is this words, ethics paper syllabus is very extensive. Every word is mentioned. Have a quote on every word, like 2 quotes, 2 examples, one from mythology you can have, one from very local, very basic example that even a 2-year-old can think of. That will reward you more than writing about like different things. And you can have a diversity of examples. For example, Iran, US can be used as examples. And now when you are writing examples, do not make them 4-liners, 5-liners that you're explaining that how one is not integral. Like USA is not integral country because it does not respect everybody else's sovereignty. That should not be your approach. Just example, USA disrespecting other countries' sovereignty. That is 1-line example that you have to write. So 1 pointer, 1-line example, 1 pointer, 1-line example, 11 points, 11 examples. You are set to go in your ethics questions. So that should be your approach for ethics. And case study, you should refer to toppers, copies, and keywords. So for ethics, last notes that you should have for ethics, 20 to 25 pages, keywords for every kind of question that they are asking. Corporate ethics, they are asking 25 keywords on that. Environment, 20 keywords on that. Like for that, you can use coaching materials, and you can also use other kind of unconventional resources. Like I used University of Texas website, so that is also available. So all these you can use. So these were my strategies that I used. And then just not feeling like you're not doing enough. Don't feel like that. Feel like whatever you're doing is enough. Because I was not living in Rajendra Nagar. I prepared from home. I was not aware of anything. I was not aware of what exam needed, what was to be done, what was the right strategy, I was just internalizing my own strategy. I was feeling, okay, this is what I was supposed to do. I have done this. Now I'll sleep. Next day I'll do another thing. This should be your preparation going forward. And having known the fact that yes, UPSC is a very tough examination, and yes, the reward is very high. It's basically a gamble. Okay, but do not put this exam on a pedestal thinking that you will never reach it, because as none of you raised your hands, I believe. So I think this would have been me also 2 years back. But to have that belief, okay, that this is just an exam, and we are doing exactly what is needed. We are not doing anything that is less. We are not doing a lot also, but a lot is also not required. You will burn yourself in doing a lot because this is a marathon. Like you have to do this exam for 3 years, 2 years. So you can't be like, oh, I'll do everything. No, that is not possible. Do what you feel like you have to do and just be honest to yourself. I think that is important. Okay, so for interview, like the result came in November, right? And the interview schedule came a lot later, like in Jan. It came in 2 phases. First phase, it came just after result, like 4-5 days after that. And the first person that was doing the interview as per that schedule was only 7 days later. So that was hectic, and I did not get that in my first schedule of interview. I did not get my call. So I was very glad. So for that, I moved to Delhi for some mock interviews. I also gave sir's mock interview. So basically, in interviews, mocks are very different from the real interview, because real interview is very conversational. What you have submitted in your DAF, they will ask you that, or they will ask you the current affairs, whatever that is happening. So every day, not even like one, what we were doing was, we were reading 2 months newspapers every day, two newspapers we were reading, one financial newspapers we were reading, because they can ask everything as we were being told. But the thing is that they also are human, and they will only read the newspaper. They are in car, they are reading, okay, this is happening, and first candidate that comes, they'll ask that. Even the second candidate, they don't ask a lot of news, because then it gets like boring for them, right? So that is the human tendency. So news you can study, yes, for your understanding you can study, because news is very, you know, like it happens and it adds on to the older one, so that you can have. But for interview, you need to have your own personality, and the different kind of approaches that are required. For example, I've said mains there was creativity, prelims there was aptitude. In interview you need honesty, integrity, and also like just humbleness. Like if you do not know even the simplest of fact, like how old is the president of India, or like what is the tenure, you will just say, I'm so sorry sir, humbly submitting, I am not aware, I am not able to think of it. They will not take it as a wrong thing, because for them it's just a conversation. Like I will ask you, where are you from, you will tell me, then the next question will come. That is what their aim is, and with the knowledge that we have in common, which is the UPSC, so they're trying to do it with that. My interview was mostly based on anthropology, because my anthropology is optional. So the first question they asked me was about Sentinelese, the tribes, like what is our approach with them. And then other question, I got BB Swain sir's board. And also do not read into all these boards before going. That will also make you, you know, biased and give you prejudices that you do not need before going into the interview room. I did not look into that, and that helped me also. So do not look into any scores, what kind of scores a person gives. Just be yourself when you're going, and be very humble and be very confident also. It should be like you are an IAS officer already, that you're going and you're just like their colleague. So you're having a conversation. It's not like you're very sorry for not knowing something. Will they be sorry for not knowing what you know? Like you will ask them, and will they say, sorry ma'am, I do not know? They will not say it. They will simply say, I do not know. You'll move on to the next topic. So that should be the interview approach. They asked me Sentinelese next. Second, hobbies. I mentioned another thing. I told you I had this strategy for myself. Whatever I'll do differently in UPSC. So my hobbies were also very different, that a lot of people have not even heard of. Like it was junk journaling, and it was spoken word poetry. Like I do poetry, but spoken word poetry, what is it now? So all these things, they make them intrigued, because they also are human. They have never heard. So they asked me on this. So spoken word poetry was something that I felt like if I would perform, then it will help me, you know, help my case. So they were not even going to ask me to perform, but I still said, sir, if you allow, would you like me to demonstrate? So I took that chance, and 30 seconds of poetry I performed, but that showed my confidence. So if you have a skill like singing, if you have and if you have any kind of like ghazal or something you recite, write that in your, and if they just take it, then show, how can you show that you're really very passionate about your hobbies? So that hobbies that you should write. Then other things that are present in DAF, one I think I wrote was listening to podcast. Now all these new kind of evolving hobbies can also be written in the interview stage. It's not like they have to just write playing chess. That is not just the hobby. Like listening, skateboarding, or like a lot of raisin arts. One of my friend wrote raisin art. Like all of these different hobbies, if you have, and if you've left all these passion and interest behind, you can pick them up and you can do them, you know. So all this is the approach for interview. And not knowing if something is completely fine. I did not know, like Vishaka guidelines, they asked me where Vishaka was from. And even though now I know that Vishaka was not a real person, it was just it was just a term that the court came up with. But at that time I was like, I do not know like where Vishaka is from. So that is the thing. And they asked me, like, you write poetry, you speak poetry, you must know literature, you must read a lot of literature. I could have lied and have a false good impression. Yes, I do. I said, no, it's my regret that I've not been able to keep up with a lot of literature. Now, next question was on one of the literature. Now, had I said, yes, I do read a lot of stuff, and if I not answered the question, that would give a wrong impression. Oh, that she doesn't know that. So, that was my interview. So, you have to be very humble, very down to earth, and use these terms like humbly submitting, sir, I'm not aware, and sir, and even sir called me like 1 2 days before interview, and he said, you are getting 190, don't worry, be confident, be humble. So I think that helps, like having that kind of support. Also, be as isolated as you can be from other UPSC aspirants, because then you will waste your time. You will go for a tea after class, you will discuss 10 things, and you'll realize you've not read 9 of them. So instead of actually focusing on your own preparation, your own strategy, you must have had goals for the day. You will leave the goals and you will study those 9 things because you will feel FOMO that, oh, I do not know them and she knows them. Nobody knows everything. I do not know everything. In fact, I know less than you. I will be very humble. Sometimes it happens like that. But you have to be just sure of yourself and do not overthink it and do not overdoubt it. And after 3 attempts, 4 attempts, whatever you feel like you giving, have a sort of plan B. Like for me, I was kind of, because when we are looking at our friends, we get disheartened because I had friends outside UPSC. They were going on trips, international trips. They were buying stuff for themselves. Even that is something that we at this age do not want to do because we do not like taking money from our parents. So I did not feel like taking money from my parents even for my education. So this was the reason I did not join a very big coaching, because 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs for something I'm not again sure of. So I'll try to do it on myself. That was my approach with everything in UPSC. Like I'll do it with my own self, my own understanding I will develop. So having that kind of exposure, so social media in that sense is harmful. If you feel like you will compare yourself with other people, do not use it, because I did not use my like a lot of followers wala account in which I followed a lot of people in from my school. I did not use that account because I did not wanted to look at people's international trips. I did not wanted to. So having that kind of isolation, but also having a life with the friends that you can count on is very important. Like have small visits, go to small evening walks, keep your mind sane. I think that is the most important thing, more than education which is required in this exam, is having your mind stable. Like trust, because trusting yourself, believing in yourself comes from a healthy mind. If you will always be talking negative about yourself, that I can't do this, that it's not my cup of tea, whatever I got myself into, you will just think about this only, and you will actually shy away from doing the actual work that is required, which is studying is required, but not like 10 hours, 12 hours. Like what you can do, your basic, if you have decided that I will do UPSC, you're already here, you've already paid the fees, you're already like half deep into this mess. So might as well do everything that you can for yourself, at least 100% of your own. Then you feel like 2 attempts, 3 attempts you've given, then you can try off another plan B also, like public policy. I was looking into public policy from TIS. Like I had also filled this form of CUT-PG, right? To get admission into this public policy, and I had my exam at 10 March, I guess, and the result was 8 March or something like that. I think 2 days gap. So if I did not qualify for that exam, I had that mental security. Okay, I will not qualify. I will go for public policy. It's okay. If I'm not qualified, I did my best. I went for interview. I did my best, and now I will do public policy. That is all that I could have done. I did my 100. Now this is my path. So having that sense of security, even if I had not pursued that public policy, but having that mental security, that is important. So have that some sort of mental security that after 3 attempts, I feel like I'll not do it 100% like solely. So I will have a plan B. So have that kind of mental security as well. I think that is also important. Any other question? No, no, no. You have to make another, yes. Like, yeah, these are for prelims. Prelims is very factual based. Mains is very subjective. Like advantages, disadvantages, or the kind of approaches that you need to use to answer the question. Like there is, like there's this syllabus based approach. Like if a question is coming, you will write GS1, GS2, not just GS1, GS1. You will not write this. But like subject wise approach, one point you will write from the perspective of society, one point you will write from the perspective of history, one point you will write, so you can have 11 points, you have to write 11, 12 points, so you can have that approaches like subject based approach you can is there, GS paper is there, then there is pestle approach which is very famous. Then you can also develop your own kind of approach, life cycle approach is there. For example, if a food processing industry question is coming, then that can be answered with the life cycle approach. Like we take a food, that is the upstream from farmer we are taking, so storage we have to, transport we have to make sure that is proper. So have a different kind of approach for different kind of questions. And talking about agriculture, I forgot, like GS3 they talk about it's very dynamic, but it's not, it's very static also, the mains part. There are 5 subjects, internal security, everything is repeated from PYQs. Go through PYQs and have that kind of model answers prepared for every kind of question. Like if they're asking on insurgency, have that answer like ready. This year also insurgency question came. We think that every year different questions will come, but actually those questions are getting repeated in different forms and different formats. But the main basic content is the same. So have that. GS3 for that, internal security is there. Agriculture, have that basic understanding. Whatever question comes, I will write with life cycle of farmer approach only. I will use the upstream. What we do when we are talking about farm stuff, we are taking the crops, we are growing them. For growing, we need inputs like water, we need sunlight, we need this. And for all these inputs, you have to have a data. Like for example, in India, mostly agriculture is rain fed. All farmers, mostly 90% of them are small and marginal. That too is an input. Land is an input. 2 hectares land we have. So have that data for everything. So when you will like have your notes ready in that kind of structured manner, you can answer very easily any question. So that is there. So mains you have to have a subjective answers. For GS2, I used Mridul Srivastav sir's notes as well. Like Mridul Srivastav sir is a topper. He has notes, so I use that notes. Coaching materials and notes, so I use governance and all these, right to information, all the basic things comes. Like for civil servants, we need to have keywords. Like ivory towers is a keyword, and red tapeism and all these keywords. Just write keywords. I think that is also enough for all these small subjects of mains. Have 50, 60 keywords, because you cannot remember everything. Keywords you will write in 7 minutes, you will get good marks. Okay, that is your approach should be there. So subjective notes are need to be there for mains. No, I think you cannot do everything, right? Current affairs is very vast. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Do not feel FOMO. Take one magazine, that is enough. Then on top of that, you can use that top 100 news of the world. You can watch those videos, 15 minutes, because anyways your attempt is not this. Next year you're going to give attempt, right? But you said you prepared just for, but your optional is done. Okay, but you're confident in your optional. Okay. Like you can do your optional if you qualify prelims. Okay. Then if you're confident, then it's okay. Then you can watch those news channels and take one. Everybody is doing one magazine only of current affairs. Current affairs is not the kingmaker here. Static is the kingmaker. 80% your focus should be on static. Like you should make your core subject so strong that whatever 40 questions that you're attempting that comes from static parts, you should have every right. That will decide whether you clear prelims or not. This will not decide if you're doing 4 magazines or 5 magazines, because then you will just make it a hodgepodge and you will forget everything. You will not remember anything. One magazine, make it like any magazine. Choose one magazine. On top of that, you can use that like Palgi Sharma's channel, the news channels. Just make yourself aware of what is happening in the world. So if a question comes that you have not read, you can have a basic knowledge. And if a question comes that you do not know at all, fine, you did not know it. You need to accept it and you need to let it go, because every question you cannot know. But PYQs you need to do. Have you done your PYQs? So do them at least 6 times and analyze also what kind of optional UPSC is thinking is the right answer. Have that understanding. Like for whenever you will see that whenever 4 pointers are given, na, 2 answers are right. Whenever 6 are given, 4 are right. Like these are the things that I've analyzed from the PYQs, and you need to do that too. So have that kind of analyzation. Okay. Yes, yes. And yes. Same 20-30 questions I knew. After that, I just applied my aptitude. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because the questions that came this year, have you seen the prelims question last year? It was very random and out of everywhere. Like EV's question came, electrode question is coming. We do not really study it. For science and technology before last year, people used to mark just all above 1 to 3. But last year it was not the case, right? And also like these questions like maximum amount of international like time zones are passing through which country. We never study all these things. Who studies this? Nobody studies this. So 20-30 question we need to have. Then aptitude is very much important. I solved a lot of PYQs, so I had that kind of aptitude developed. So that helped me a lot. So I will say PYQs are most important. Environment ecology completely out of PYQs is asked. Like you can see the PYQs, like any new species that you will feel, oh, what where they are asking this question. See that 1998 question and it will be a run-off option. So have that PYQs done very and do PYQs and mocks you should do just for supplementing your knowledge. Like whatever you've studied, you can answer question on that. Mocks are for that. PYQs are for understanding UPSC and what kind of questions they are asking. So that is important for that. Mains I used lot of PYQs. Like PYQs as in I saw PYQs. I made notes as per the PYQs only. Like if civil servants they are asking questions, I wrote keywords. Okay, if a question in civil servant is going to come, I will write these questions on every PYQs. And also these coaching institutes mains test series that comes, right? They are also heavily dependent on PYQs and some current affair topics also. What I used to do was I used to open the question, I used to close it, I used to have the timer on, and I used to write whatever I can think of, and I used to write it, right? And like brainstorming, okay, that I will write this point, I will write this point, I will write this point. Not just spending 7 minutes, the 2-3 minutes brainstorming on that question, and then I used to stop the watch. Keywords I have written. I'll now see the answer, the model answer. What all points I missed? Okay, I've written these points. I did not write these points. I'll make a list of these, and if a question comes, then I will use those keywords. So mains is about keywords. Like if you can have keywords on every topic that they've asked questions, then you will have a good marks. PYQs 10 years PYQs if you've done in your mains, you will definitely qualify mains. Like definitely. Yes, yes, GS2, yes. Okay, I'll open the paper, okay? Then I can better answer you that. Like GS2, if a also if a paper is coming which is very hard for that year, GS2 this year was hard. Everybody was saying. But so scaling occurs. Like they give marks. It's not like like I said, your competition is not like the books. It's the other people. So if you do not know, everybody else is also do not know have that confidence because everybody is reading the same stuff. It's not like they're reading encyclopedias. They know the 2 points also. So it's not like you are missing out on something. Have that confidence that I've written two things. Okay, everybody else is also writing the two things. Now what should I write? The third thing that they'll give me extra marks. Just have that. Okay, for like example, I will open. Okay, for GS paper 1, like I opened, right? Distinguish between human developed index and develop inequality adjusted develop. Now this question was straight out of an economic survey. Okay, now I did not have much idea about it. My economics is not that because this was not the kind of question they asked. Like usually they ask PYQs, as I've told you. This was not a PYQ. This was a new question, but you can make use of the language. Human developed index and inequality adjusted human, so something like that I wrote from the understanding. I did not have a complete idea. This is something that Niti Aayog gives. I did not even know this, so I did not write this in the paper itself also. And this is GS3. I did not score too much in GS3, so it's like you can understand that people do like have some kind of It's not like they know everything. This question I knew. What are the challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from free trade? And like this was the first chapter of economic survey. Like this was first thing that they were talking about. Like what should we do? That world is moving away from globalization. So
read economic survey. This is my tip for you all. Like at least have a summary of it. Okay. Explain the factors influencing the decisions of farmers in the selection of high value crops in India. Now you can use the same life cycle approach. Now even if you don't know the answer of it, this is a very generic question. High value crops are, we are all moving away. Avocado we are eating, pulses we are eating. This is not wheat and rice. Subsistence based eating is not something we're doing. So have a life cycle approach. Inputs are improving, research is improving, newer varieties are coming cheaper, they are becoming cheaper, and that is the input. Then you can say water irrigations are improving, water facilities is improving, so that can also lead it to it. Then supply side, all these things are improving. Demand side, people are demanding it. Protein conscious diets are becoming like more, readily favored by the people. We do not want to eat carbohydrates, we want proteins, so that is also giving, then globalization, which was a question in GS1, how globalization is shaping our daily, consumption. That is also something. Avocado toast is something that everybody is eating, we also want to eat. Green matcha, everybody is eating, we also want to eat. Like all these mangoes, Miyawaki, or all these new brands that we're listing, all this is because of demand driven, right? Our farmers are selling this because we are asking for it. So these questions, these can be solved by this kind of approach. Then supply chain management question I knew, because these are PYQs. You will see the PYQs of agriculture. These are literally supply chain management is the syllabus point also, supply chain management. So this you need to know. Like if something is coming from PYQs and syllabus, you need to have 100% like awareness of that and what you can write to have a good marks. And also GS3, they reward more points. Like if you're writing 14 points and 15 points, somebody will write 8 points. They will give you more marks, obviously, because everybody is writing generic points. Same points, input, water, irrigation, same points. So if you're writing 14 points, they will give you 1 mark extra, and 1 mark is everything that you need. Also, for GS2, have the case laws, and the committees are must be telling as well. Committees are very important. They give you half mark, 1 mark extra for committees. Like if women education is coming, then there is Pam Rajput, I guess, something like that. That is the committee. So mention that committee in way forward, in anywhere you can find you don't have a point, write committees regarding that. They will give you 1 mark extra, because you have to bring something extra to the table. That is your main objective of the mains. Have your notes in such a way that you will give extra. Like have some diagrams. Value addition is different, but this is like having the basic content but making it a bit different. Like that is all that you need. Okay. Then value addition, focus on it later. Then what is carbon capture? This was in news. This was in news. This was in PT 365. All the current affair magazines as well. So something this people know this. Okay. So as you can see, like I knew questions, but it's not like we know everything. Like 20 pages we can fill. Like sorry, but the 4 pages, 3 pages we can fill. 1 point, 2 point, and then you have to extrapolate that, and you have to come up with different stuff also in that moment. Like human adjusted, I did not know anything except for the definition what I could make, but I wrote anything. So something sometimes that you have to work, and that comes also in mains. It comes. Yeah, this is I think enough. Anything else? Essay. Now essays, everybody has a certain edge. Like if they write in school, like I used to write. So for essay, do not take my approach. What I did was, now I can tell value addition I did. First of all, I relied on Vikram Grewal sir's approach. He has that kind of approach. He has also posted that you will see, you will search on Google Vikram Grewal sir's essay approach. He has posted this one page on which he has written like 10 pointers to be kept in mind while writing essay. I relied on that. Like I did not prepare for essay till the last minute. 2 days ago, 2 days before my essay exam, I was like, I have to do something, unless I won't be able to. So I wrote one essay, and one of my friends who's very good in literature, I sent her, and I also asked her for very ruthless feedback. I was like, give me as true as of a feedback as you can. So she gave me a PDF with like 20 pointers of why I was not writing a good essay. But I did not feel very saddened by it. I was feeling like, okay, this is I have and I have to work on it. So I worked on it a bit. And then also value addition, TED Ed, this YouTube channel, TED Ed, they publish these 3 minute, 2 minute short stories. So a lot of examples are there in these TED Ed videos. So Vikram Grewal sir said basically give examiner knew something new to be talking about in every new paragraph. Like the pestle approach has become very old. So don't go with just that. Have some examples that you can give them in every paragraph. Make it new. Don't like go on about one paragraph like you're writing it in 4 paragraphs. One thing same you're writing again. Then that becomes very repetitive and boring. So what I did was I used that for value addition. I made a list. Like basically, I had a diary. I wrote a lot of examples. I remembered them as well, and for that I did that. And for some poetry, I used some different. Like this was something that I think I was lucky in also. So for essay, I think value addition is important, or also writing like creatively something like you can instead of actually watching all these coaching videos, you can actually watch all the people who are actually good in writing essays, like in English literature space. To take you can because you have time, so some time you have. So essay you it's time, so you can use that. Vikram Grewal sir's approach I used. Anything else? Answer was I scored 250. It's not a very good score. Anyways, for I was coaching lectures, made notes before my prelims. That's all that I did. Then I also bought a lot of standard books. Ember I read for some part, not cover to cover, but some like Pnath also I read for like some genetic counseling and all these parts, the bio part. Then the apes and all this I did from Ember only. Then we have social, right? Social I did from YouTube also. The YouTube there is a lot of material, and also all these foreign universities they have very good material on all these theories. So you can add value add from that. And then coaching material, basic material I used for theories, and PYQs I did like that is something that helped I guess. PYQs because it's very readily repeated. So that also having a bit of unconventional examples also in that also. Like for example, a question came something like I guess political kind of leaning that affects the nutrition of the country. Something like this came I guess. So I wrote an example of North Korea in this. Now people don't teach it, but we know that North Korea's political thing is so extremist that their people don't even get a lot to eat. So all these basic awareness questions can also be used. And this year the paper 2 was also a lot of GS based, like ethnic violence and all these things were asked. Have you seen the paper? 2025. You should see the papers. You should see the PYQs and see what will you write. Like brainstorming is the most important. Even more than answer writing, important is brainstorming. Like what you will write. If this question comes, what will you write? Not don't think I've not read it. I'll read it, then I'll think what I'll write. No, with what you know already. Like in your 25, 24 years of life, you must have read something, right? So how can I answer with this? Think about that. And when you will develop your thinking ability now, you will be able to come up with examples. Anthropology I did nothing special, I did just, and that is why my marks are also nothing special. 250 only. It's okay, right? Answer writing, yeah, answer writing as I've told you, with the model answers I used to open and side by side I used to practice. And also having the kind of structure like GS paper approach, then pestle approach I used to write in that. And I did not write before prelims a lot of answers. After prelims only I write. And toppers copy analyzation. Like Shruti Sharma ma'am's a lot of good answers. Srivastav sir's AI1 copies, they are available in Telegram. So you can just go through them. What kind of answers they are writing. You'll see that they are also writing answers like us. And if they are writing some examples like these double income, no kids, these kind of keywords, they've all become famous because of toppers copy. So if you can find a keyword from there, write it in your notebook. Use toppers copies. That is very useful. Uh, Come again, please. I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear. In the examination, yes. Like in prelims, I think the language Telugu comes side by side or Hindi only comes. Hindi only comes. then I think you have to guess around it. And sometimes you can get lucky also. For example, I'll give you this example. This time a question came on coastal intrusion. Now you can think about it. What can be a coastal intrusion be? I had no idea, but like I was reading some other people's note, and in that I just saw this word and I googled it, and a question on that came in mains. So I got lucky in that. So sometimes question comes that you don't know, so you have to, these are the questions that you do not know. Like you cannot know everything. You have to accept that also, that you will not be able to know everything. Basic resources, do current affairs you're doing. If UPSC asks something different from somewhere, then that is not your problem, and that is not something that you can do anything about. And if you do not know a keyword, chances are 80% of people do not know that. So don't feel worried. Just do basic resources at least. That you should not miss. Your competitor is your people who is sitting next of you. If they know something and you don't, that is the problem. If you know something and if you don't know something and UPSC knows something, that is not your problem. That you should be like very well confident about. Anything else? No, not at all. I have this family friend actually. It was his fifth attempt. He has not done college from any big college also. That is also a misconception that we all had. I also had that if somebody is from DU, somebody is from very good college, then they get good marks. He has done his distance coaching, like distance learning, distance college we do, right? He has done that. 5 years he's done just this UPSC preparation. He got 200 marks in interview. I got 184. I'm from Hansraj College, University of Delhi. So I don't think I'm 24. He's I think 27, and Shakti Dubey was 30. So that is not the conception. I think they do that. Like this year, all the top 10 you can see are mostly repeaters. Fifth attempt, fourth attempt they've given, and they are all older, 27, 28, 29, right? And even like I had some person I met in medical. He was 31, I think. He was married also. He was working somewhere else. He got in this time. So there is no, it's just that interviewer has to like you. And for that, you have to be true, honest, and humble. That is all that you can do. And yes, it is very unfair. People do get 130 and then they're kicked out of list. But then hopefully next year they can do. Like for example, Prachi Pawar this year, 59 rank. She's one of my friends. Last year she had the same board that I had this time, BB Swain sir. She scored 130 in that interview. And this year she had Raj Shukla sir, and this time she has 202. Now, 1 year nobody can change their personality. Nobody can do a lot. Nobody can do that because a lot of other stages are also coming in this time, right? It's just that the person changed. Raj Shukla sir changed. You like some kind of people. You like some different kind of people. If I come and you like me, then you will give me good marks. And if you have a prerequisite that, oh, I do not like people who talk a lot, and then some candidate comes who's talking a lot, you will give them 130. That is your prejudice. That you cannot control. What you can control is your humbleness, your confidence, your things. That you, if you do not focus on what you cannot control, because then you will waste your time in thinking about things that you should not think about. Do just minimal. What is required out of you, do your 100%, and then leave everything else to God. Then that is luck. That is the UPSC luck that everybody says. That is luck. Any other question? Last thing, sir. Please do not feel like you cannot do UPSC. Honestly, it was my second attempt. I have not prepared a lot. People have given 4 attempts. They failed a lot of more times also. More people have more experience also. I just went in with the mentality that this is the paper, next paper that I have to do, and I will do it. Like for example, mains, I was so worried in 2 months. I was so worried. I knew that I was not going to qualify it because people around me also were saying, this is your first mains, you will not qualify it. So every day I used to wake up, go to the library and study, and knowing that I will not qualify, still I used to do what I am supposed to do. Like, okay, these are the notes that I was supposed to do, I will do them. And even though I write, I used to doubt myself, like, I'm not going to clear it. I know, still why am I putting in all these efforts? But I did not give up. I think not giving up has made me come here. Because if I were to rely on knowledge, if I were to rely on experience, I think I do not have the most of all of these. I do not. But not giving up attitude, I do have. I knew that this is to be done. I've done it, and then I'll sleep, and next day I'll still do everything else again. I will not doubt it, and I will not, be sad. I did not overthink a lot. Like, I think that was also an advantage. I do not overthink a lot. Like, I had my friends who prepared, who started with me, who had the dream of becoming IAS officer since like childhood, but they were so stressed out because every day they used to wake up with the burden, oh, that I have to do so much, that they actually end up doing nothing. They got paralyzed by that fear. They got paralyzed by the amount of pressure that they themselves put on themselves, right? I was very like chill about it, that I'll do whatever. If I have to go play Holi, I will go play Holi. Then after that, I will come and I will study. I've done that. Like last year also, I've done all the holidays, festivals. This year also, I've traveled also. I've come to Delhi also in that time because I like eating. That are the things that make me happy. And I did not compromise on my happiness. I think don't compromise on your happiness. Do not compare yourself from people who are giving 5 attempts, 6 attempts. You can very much qualify this exam in 1 attempt if you do exactly what the stage of that part needs. Focus on pre and analyze the questions of pre and focus on that strategy. Focus on mains ka strategy. If you think, how will I do it? You will waste 10 days and actually not end up realizing how will you do it. You need to have your own strategy, have trust in it, and go at it. Like, do not look back. Do not think that this is some coaching material that I also need to study. Then you will not actually study the material that you have at your hand. Like, you need to focus on that also. Like, don't think. I think thinking is what people do wrong in this UPSC preparation. I've seen a lot of people who go to Rajendra Nagar also, who go to all these places that people have made a hype about. They will just go there and they will think there, how will I do it? And home also we are thinking, how will I do it? So that does not make any difference. You just need to do it. That is, I think, one thing you need to do. Okay, so that you should have confidence. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry.
So, are you happy? You learned anything? So, finally, we have discussed with the topper. So, one thing we can observe from the Kunika is, she didn't kept much hype about this preparation. So, I should read this much. I should go through these many big kind of books, this many hours. She is a kind of a student like you who have a same doubts about the preparation, who went through same syllabus, who went through same books, same doubts, and finally, can I get into this service? So, is it possible for me? From the same question which you are having, and from the same question she also had, and she did it and she cracked it. So, before that, I think most of you might know this. I just would like to tell you a small story. I would narrate in the same our mother tongue only because you can empathize that. మీరు చాలా మంది వినే ఉంటారు. There is a story. The story is that there is a small pond, చిన్న కొలను లాగా పాండ్ ఉంటుంది. There is a big pole, చాలా సాఫ్ట్ పోల్ ఉంటుంది. రీసెంట్ టైమ్స్లో చాలా హైలైట్ అయింది. వెరీ సాఫ్ట్ పోల్. దేర్ ఆర్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్రాగ్స్ ఇన్ ద పాండ్. ఒక పాండ్లో చాలా ఫ్రాగ్స్ ఉంటాయి. దానిపైన ఒక సాఫ్ట్ పోల్ ఉంటుంది, చాలా హైట్. అన్ని ఫ్రాగ్స్ కూడా దే వాంట్ టు క్లైమ్ ఆన్ టు దట్ పోల్. సో ఫస్ట్ ఫ్రాగ్ ట్రైడ్. So reminding all the frogs which are surrounding the pole, they are telling that come back, it's not possible to you, not possible to you. ప్రతి కప్ప ట్రై చేస్తోంది, కింద పడుతుంది, ట్రై చేస్తోంది, కింద పడుతుంది. దే ఆర్ ట్రైయింగ్ అండ్ మోర్ ఓవర్ దెర్ ఇస్ ఎ హ్యూజ్ షౌటింగ్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద నేబర్ ఫ్రాగ్స్. సో నీ వల్ల కాదు, కమ్ బ్యాక్ అని. ఎవ్రీ ఫ్రాగ్ ట్రైయింగ్ అండ్ దే ఆర్ ఫాలింగ్ డౌన్. సడన్లీ వన్ ఫ్రాగ్ కేమ్. సో ఏం వినట్లేదు, ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ ఆన్. ఇట్ రీచ్ టు ద టాప్, పైన వరకు వెళ్ళిపోయింది. ఎవ్రీబడి గట్ షాక్. ఆ ఫ్రాగ్ అలా వెళ్ళిపోయింది. ఫ్రాగ్ దిగిన తర్వాత మన క్రికెట్ మ్యాచ్లో ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అన్నట్టు మీరు ఎలా ఎక్కగలిగారు అంత పైకి అన్నప్పుడు, ఇంతమంది మిమ్మల్ని డిమోటివేట్ చేస్తున్నాడు కదా, నాకు తెలీదు వాళ్ళందరూ డిమోటివేట్ చేస్తున్నట్టు, నాకు తెలీదు వాళ్ళు ఏం అరుస్తున్నారు. సో వాళ్ళు అరుస్తున్నప్పుడు నాకు ఏమనిపించింది అంటే ఐ ఫీల్ లైక్ మోటివేషన్. సో ఐఎమ్ డెఫ్, నాకేం వినిపించదు కూడా. సో లైక్ నేను అలా వెళ్తూ ఉన్నాను, వాళ్ళు అలా అరుస్తూ ఉంటే వాళ్ళు ఏదో అరుస్తున్నారు, నన్ను ఎంకరేజ్ చేస్తున్నట్టు అనిపించింది. నేను ఇంకా పైకి ఎక్కుతున్నాను అన్న. అంటే థింగ్ ఏంటంటే వెన్ యూ హియర్ ద సరౌండింగ్స్ దట్ ఈస్ ద బిగ్గెస్ట్ డిమోటివేషన్. నేను ఇది ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నానంటే వెన్ ఎవర్ సమ్వన్ కమ్స్ టు ఎస్ఆర్ నగర్, వెన్ ఎవర్ సమ్వన్ విజిట్స్ అవర్ అకాడమీ, ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ విచ్ ఐ రిసీవ్ ఫ్రమ్ దెమ్ ఇస్ వై డింట్ యూ పుట్ దిస్ అకాడమీ ఇన్ అశోక్ నగర్? అశోక్ నగర్లో ఎందుకు పెట్టలేదు, ఎస్ఆర్ నగర్లో ఎందుకు పెట్టాను? ఐ హ్యావ్ మై ఓన్ ఏజెంట్. వెన్ యూ గో టు ద అశోక్ నగర్ యూ ఆర్ ఇన్ ఎ కంప్లీట్ ఈ పూల్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్రాగ్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, అలా ఉంటుంది. వెన్ యూ గో టు అ టీ దేర్ విల్ బి ఎ డిస్కషన్. When you go to an institution, there will be discussion. Every institute on the first class, they will be giving a free demo, free discussion. What student will do? He'll go everywhere. He'll attend each and everything. అన్నీ తెలుసుకుంటాడు, అందరితో మాట్లాడతాడు. సో హీల్ పర్చేస్ వన్ బుక్. సో వైల్ డ్రింకింగ్ టీ, సమ్ టీ తాగేటప్పుడు ఏదో డిస్కషన్ ఉంటుంది, అరే ఆ బుక్ చాలా బాగుందంట, ఆ టాపర్ చెప్పాడు, వీళ్ళు అది తెచ్చుకుంటారు. మళ్ళీ ఇంకో దగ్గరికి వెళ్తారు. హీ గో ఆన్ ఇంప్లిమెంటింగ్ ఆల్ స్ట్రాటజీస్. హీ గో ఆన్ ఇంప్లిమెంటింగ్ పర్చేసింగ్ ఆల్ బుక్స్. నా దగ్గరకు వస్తే సో దిస్ ఏరియా ఈజ్ లైక్ ఈ చెవిటి కప్పలా. యు ఆర్ ఇన్ దిస్ ప్లేస్, యు ఆర్ లిజనింగ్ టు ఓన్లీ మై సజెషన్స్ ఆర్ ఫ్యాకల్టీ సజెషన్స్. యు ఆర్ కంప్లీట్లీ మూవింగ్ అవే ఫ్రమ్ దాట్ ప్లేస్ వేర్ యు ఆర్ హియరింగ్ false manipulations or huge hype. That is the major reason why I established institution at this place. You know, Kunika, she never went to Old Rajendra Nagar. She never listened to the hype which it is there in the Old Rajendra Nagar. She cracked this examination. Endukante she didn't came across that hype. She just tried to manage whatever she has to suppose it to do. So limited targets, she achieved that limited targets with less marks also. చిన్న మార్క్స్ తో కూడా స్టార్ట్ అయింది. సో వన్ థింగ్ ఐ అబ్జర్వ్ ఫ్రమ్ హర్. సో థింగ్ ఏంటంటే ఎస్, మెనీ ఆఫ్ ద ర్యాంక్స్ ఆర్ ఫ్రమ్ ఓల్డ్ రాజేందర్ నగర్ ఆర్ డిఫరెంట్ ప్లేసెస్, బట్ ఇట్ మైట్ బి లెస్ నంబర్. 2024 June she started preparing. 2026 June also not yet completed. 1.5 year preparation. మీరు అడగొచ్చు, సో డస్ కునికా హ్యావ్ హ్యూజ్ స్పెషలైజేషన్? You know, UPSC is not expecting that much specialization. The specialization is in terms of optional. She got 250 marks in the optional. So in that specialization part also she is a mediocre, but she performed well. అంటే థింగ్ ఏంటంటే బిహేవ్ లైక్ ఎలా అవుతుంటుందో ఏం తెలియదు. సో డెఫ్ అండ్ డమ్ లాగా అలా చెవులు మూసుకొని అలా ముందుకు వెళ్ళిపోవాలి అంతే. సో యూ విల్ క్రాక్ దిస్ ఎగ్జామ్. సో లిటిల్ ఎఫర్ట్స్ విల్ డెఫినెట్లీ మేక్ అస్ టు గెట్ సక్సీడ్. సో నేను కునికాన్ దగ్గర నుంచి చూశాను, షీ గాట్ సక్సీడెడ్ అండ్ యూ విల్ ఆల్సో గెట్ సక్సీడ్. There are students who cracked exam at 32, 35, students who cracked the exam at 21, 22, 23. Students who cracked the examination in their 6th attempt, 7th attempt, 9th attempt. Students who cracked the exam in their first attempt. Students who read plenty of books. Students who read just coaching institute materials. So you can take Kunika, she multiple times said that coaching institute materials, she focused less on particularly standard books. That is enough. So go with a కాన్ఫిడెన్స్, గో విత్ సెల్ఫ్ బిలీఫ్. సో బలమైన బిలీఫ్తో వెళ్ళండి. సో నాకు అవ్వదు, నథింగ్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్. సో మీరు కొట్టేంత వరకు నో వన్ నోస్. సో ఇట్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్. సో ఐ థింక్ యూ గాట్ గుడ్ ఇన్సైట్స్ అండ్ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ ఫర్ యువర్ ఇన్సైట్స్ కునికా. షీ స్పెంట్ అ లాట్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్. ఐ హోప్ షీ గేవ్ యూ మచ్ ఇన్సైట్స్. నేనేం చెప్పానంటే బీ న్యాచురల్, డు నాట్ హైప్. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ ద థింగ్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ద స్ట్రాటజీ యూ ఫాలోడ్, just try to tell them that strategy. Our students should not feel like very kind of mesmerization ఉండొద్దు, గాల్లో మేడలు కట్టొద్దు. సో న్యాచురల్గా నువ్వేం ఫాలో అయ్యో అదే చెప్పమన్నాను. షీ ట్రై టు టెల్ దట్. ఐ హోప్ యూ గాట్ ఇట్.